Hi, everybody. January 5th, 2024. Your HIC doctor, Dr. Ellis from Oklahoma. We're going to talk about federal workers' comp, federal retirement, VA disability, and anything else you want to talk about. The laws are fair. No one knows the laws. No one follows the laws. But there's all kinds of ways to appeal stupid people's denials. So don't ever give up in federal workers' comp and VA disability. Okay, here we have from Arizona, Aaron, had viral meningitis, now has migraine. I've easily connected. Did you have any brain damage from the viral meningitis? Did you notice a change in your memory? And you had a traumatic brain injury to that. Right? And disabling migraines. Migraines start at 50%. It can be 70%. Yeah. Yeah, and that can do it. Yeah. That's an easy. That's just a nexus report. We'll get you taken care of, Aaron. Okay. Georgia, Terry. He's coming here to Oklahoma for federal workers' comp. How much travel, lodging can I expect DOL to cover? They'll pay 100 miles. They may pay lodging. If you're coming for over 100 miles, you want to file first. Either look it up or give us a call. We'll tell you the form. And sometimes you get it. Sometimes you got to fight them. Okay. Here's from Arkansas. Is AR Arkansas? Okay. All right. Okay. Sean got an ECAB appeal decision denial. Okay. Don't give up. Start over. File new claim. There are all kinds of things we can do. Okay. Wrong. They terminated my compensation on my scheduled eligibility for scheduled work. Would you want to look at all that stuff and have my legal department take a look at it? We can tell you what I would recommend you do. Someone screwed up. Untimeliness of filing an initial appeal. Okay, so if you if you didn't file initially time, then we file again. We file a new claim. There are all kinds of things you can do. Don't give up. Back from California. Recently died 2 injuries in my VA disability claim. Never heard of that happening. C&P exams the C&P exams did diagnose me of those 2 injuries. File the claim. Of course, nothing's happened. You're going to have a nexus letter by somebody that doesn't work for the VA, because the doctors and nurse practitioners, the PAs at the VA, are not trained in legal medicine, because no one's trained in legal medicine. You always want to do your own nexus. By the nexus letter, causation letter by a doctor knows what he's doing. Here's one from Eduardo from Oklahoma. Okay. Do you write nexus letters for migraine secondary to tinnitus? Yes. PTSD, yes. There's medical evidence and case law for that. That's an easy one. And you're getting sumatriptan, so you got a good diagnosis. And then it's just a matter of rating how they go. I've seen migraines rated at 70. All of them should be at least 50. Okay. You said my primary care is about to refer me to neurologist to run tests, then file a VA claim soon after. You can file the VA claim now if you want to. If you've got migraines, that's all I need to know. Nexus letter from North Carolina for Elbert. Connect sleep apnea to tinnitus. Got 10% for that. There's case law for that. And did you have other injuries? Like, did you have any injury that caused you to have weight gain, like a plantar fasciitis, flat foot, bad knee, back, and any weight gain? And that also contributes to sleep apnea, because the criteria in VA and federal is just if it contributes a little bit, slight amount, it's 100% covered. It's not criminal law beyond a reasonable shadow of doubt. Delaware, Clinton has lumbar strain at 20%, service connected. Numbness in your toes. Of course you do. So now that's radiculopathy. That's numbness down your legs. Now, your lumbosacral strain can be rated up to 50% for the 5237. Then you can add, if you've got disc, now you probably have disc disease now. That's what's pinching your nerve. You also have arthritis in your back, and those are different numbers, different percentages. And then the nerve, depending how many nerves there are, those have a percentage, and all those have to be added together. And a lot of doctors don't know how to do that. And if they call me, I'll send them this little form on how to do it. And that, yeah, so that's so we had an EMG. Well, gee, if that's positive, then that's even more. But a lot of times an EMG is a very crude test, and it may be negative. In other words, you could have a little bit of carpal tunnel. It might not pick it up. You have to have moderate carpal tunnel to really pick it up. But if you have symptoms and you have a physical exam and you have a decreased sensation along specific nerves, then we take that strain and we add that nerve to your back. Dr. Whitecoat makes the diagnosis. That's based on his education, training, experience. He's not God. He's just legal medicine is based on a doctor's got a white coat and his education, training, experience. Now, what a lot of doctors make a great error on, well, I don't have a lab test. Or I don't have an x-ray. I don't have an MRI. That is not the law, folks. So don't pontificate unless you know the law. The trouble is occupational medicine's not even taught in medical school or in residencies, and no one's even heard the term legal medicine. And yet over 50% of litigation requires a doctor's report. Workers' comp, state workers' comp, federal workers' comp, VA disability, Social Security, AFLAC. Okay. From Missouri, Carl, 6 blows from head. Okay, facial trauma. Wow. Got buddy statements. Wow, that's more than you usually have. Got traumatic brain injury. It's also eye problems. That's covered, sure. Like to reopen the claim, sure. Come in, we'll do a TBI, we'll do your eye, and yeah. Is it causing anything else? You have any numbness or weakness down your arms or legs? Well, that goes to it too. You just need a nexus report. Now, you got a neural ophthalmologist, you got a doctor, your private doctor. Bring the records, but don't ask them to write a report. They don't know how to do that. We'll do that for you. It'd scare them to write a report to the federal government. Florida, Michael, infantry unit. So you were working for a living. I was a flight surgeon, sat on my butt, flew a few helicopters. Okay. Instance of sprained ankles, calves, that's covered. Now, of course, now you got arthritis in it. Okay, now you have this ankle sprain that occurred in the service. You had a cast in the service. Then you've also had a neck fusion and lumbar fusion. Now, your limp from that cast and that foot contributed to your back and your neck. So if those are not service connected, they should be. Right? And you're getting injections and all right, okay. And want to file for disability? Yeah, well, we can do all that. Do I need an extra? Sure, you do. Grandfathered in. There's no grandfather in. If it happened in the service, it's covered. So now there is a type of grandfathering. If you file for a claim, say in 2000, and then later you get an nexus report, you make sure that doctor makes that you go back to that day of that filing, not to the day you've filed it again. Sometimes the veteran service officers say it's easier to just file a new claim. No, you want to get that old claim accepted and they pay forward. Niemeyer was the vet that helped us get that. And it's fair, it's correct. So don't wait to file. Kentucky, Stephen, create new evidence, hypertension, okay. Talking about recording pressure, so just get a doctor to say you've got high blood pressure or record it, and just record it. But if you get your family doctor to just say you have hypertension, whether or not he gives you medicine, it's fine. Then the nexus letter is how is that connected to your service? You got PTSD, it's covered. If you have tinnitus, it's covered. If you have weight gain due to like you had a bad foot and you've gained weight because of that, then it's covered. Okay. Same way with the diabetes. If you've had weight gain due to a musculoskeletal injury, it's covered. So I think this may be the same person. Oh, so he's got a lumbosacral strain. So will that, and then that brings in arthritis and discs and nerves and weight gain and all kinds of stuff. Okay. And then you have heart condition, sure.
Before we continue on to the next, is if you would just address our viewers and invite questions and give a little background about yourself, because we've had an increase in viewership, and I want to make sure that you're reflecting.
Okay. I'm the Hick doctor from Oklahoma, flight surgeon in the Army, doing legal medicine for a zillion years, federal, VA, state, personal injury, all kinds of stuff. Teach this stuff all over the nation. And the unfortunate thing is, legal medicine is not taught in medical school or in residencies. And yet 50% of litigation requires a doctor's report. So I just want to teach you as much as I can. All right. And we'll take care of you. My staff will. You don't need me. Now here's Carmen works for the IRS from Texas. 2009, off work a year, accepted traumatic injury, surgery to my knee, some bulging discs, carpal tunnel, forced back to work, continues pay. Learned my claim was closed. Now, in federal works comp, claims never close. They're administratively closed. They're not closed. Let's say you had, it was 20 years ago, and now your knee is acting up. We can either do a CA2A recurrence and getting worse. If you're still working, we'll file a new claim, but we just open it up. All right, so that's easy. Now, Mike, should I start a new claim? I would not. I would go back to the original claim for yeah, okay. But it doesn't matter. Just get it done. And if they accept the original claim, fine. If they find a new claim, we just want the claim accepted. Never get a, you can always get a scheduled award. Even if you have a closed claim and no change, you can still get a scheduled award. That'll open up the claim. You don't have to open it up to a scheduled award. You do a scheduled award, you send it what form's called a CA7, check the box, scheduled award, and that'll open the claim for the administrative opening of a claim. Okay. Neja, I was able to file workers' comp. Are we able to file workers' comp based on muscle tears? You're able to file workers' comp for anything. Now, scheduled awards. What is a scheduled award? In state workers' comp, it's a permanent impairment. A car wreck, you get money for injuries. Okay. A scheduled award back in 1916, when they wrote the law, cut off a thumb, there's a schedule. So much for a thumb, so much for an arm. So, okay. But they didn't put in hearts and brains and spines. So if you have a heart, brain, or spine injury, you can't have a scheduled award. Besides, you don't need a heart, spine, or brain to work for the federal government. Now, but now let's say you've got a neck injury, spine, and a nerve goes down your arm. We rate the nerve down your arm. I had a person at Tinker, they put in the print shop, opened a 55-gallon barrel of toluene, and he's cleaning out the stuff. Within an hour, he's got brain damage. I mean, wow. Pickled, shrunk. His wife has to hold one arm, he has to put the other arm to walk down the hall. I cannot rate his brain. I can rate his brain for permanent inability to work and put him on workers' comp until he dies, which is the same amount if he was getting a scheduled award. So it's not really lost. But I did rate both arms and both legs. Okay. Telling doctors my medical history and the service has not got me any disability. Well, sure, they don't know how to do it. And you surely don't want. I had a federal employee from Ohio who teaches raters at the VA, the people that review your records and your reports, your nexus reports, decide whether to accept a claim and how much percentage. He said they're not well trained, and he said the doctors, the nurse practitioners, and the PAs, the VA are not trained at all. And there's also a bias against the injured litigant. Everybody thinks anybody files claims cheating. That's not true. What to do? You get a nexus report from somebody who knows what they're doing. Okay, here's a question. Amount of weeks given PTSD. There are no weeks in PTSD. In VA, you can rate it 10, 30, 50, 70, or even 100. And the way I rate it, you want to, if it's a spouse, you tell the spouse, what do you think? And that's probably my scientific answer. But it can all be rated. You can be off work due to PSD if it's federal. You would not get impairment rating for psychological brain, but we could be off work and the amount of your scheduled work amount off work is the same amount. And in federal, which is very fair, you can be off work till you die. In state workers' comp, you may get a couple of weeks if you had a back surgery. Just had my Q claim granted, whatever a Q claim is. They ordered me 20% for 25 hours for my lumbar strain. How do I get secondary radiculopathy? Whatever it is, you've already got a lumbar strain. So if you've developed radiculopathy down the leg, you've had the normal aging process where you're going to get bone spurs. You may also have a disc, but that's been contributed to by that strain, which causes muscle spasm. It's the same as if you walk around with a heavy hot water pot on your head. It's going to make more pressure on the disc in the spine and the vertebrae in the spine and be secondarily affected, and that takes care of your radiculopathy. Just to have a doctor to put that into understanding so people can understand it. Yes.
Doc, we got a live question from Larry Green. He has a VA claim pending and expecting to be denied. Already diagnosed with tinnitus, sleep apnea, bilateral hearing loss, and hypertension by private doctors. How many times can you appeal?
Till you die.
Till you die. Right. We have another one.
Now, when you appeal, get a new nexus letter.
So we have another one here. I believe this individual, Michael, also provided a question in these that we have. I just got granted 80% for lower back and RAD good, DBQ and Nexus from DOC, no CMP, also claim neck and MDD, DBQs and Nexus. VA is trying to schedule me for CMP on those. Should I go?
Yes, go.
All right. And we have another one. I'm having a CMP exam altogether, back migraine, TBI. Can the VA do a CMP altogether at one time by one of those organizations?
What do you mean, like
I'm assuming he means singularly a CMP doing all of the examinations.
Yeah, they can do all of them same day. Yeah.
Is it better to go to that singular or see the Ellis Clinic?
Well, I always think you ought to go to Ellis Clinic because we're the best, and it's not that we're any good. We're just the only ones that know this stuff. We may not be any good, but no. But you could always go and see what they come up with and just save yourself a trip. But it's not going to hurt, except for your pocketbook a little bit, $500 per condition. Now, hearing and tinnitus are one condition. If you have a back and numbness down both legs, that's one condition. Same way neck and both arms nerves, that's one condition. Two shoulders would be two conditions. Okay. Okay, here's one. Does Ellis do evaluations for LTD insurance claims? I'm assuming that's long-term disability. Long-term disability is an interesting thing. It's under ERISA. It's hard to, and let's say they don't pay you. It's hard to even find an attorney that will take the case, because if you sue them, you can get them to pay what they're supposed to, but you don't get attorney fees and court costs, so attorneys don't want to do that. Now, there's some firms that are so bad that they get punitive damages, and then that's big bucks, but not punitive damages like in ordinary. Let's say you have a car wreck and the insurance company fastens you, which is the normal part of it. But if they do it really, really stupidly, they can pay punitive damages. Everybody knows the story of the little old lady at McDonald's, had the hot coffee in her lap. She really had a burn. She had a significant injury, and she got some money for that. But the millions were in punitive damages. You were told over and over and over again, turn that temperature down. And so then they did. So, yeah, we do it. Rather not, because it's a process. You're going to have to do it. You're going to have to fight them. You're going to have, and you're going to have the doctor say, I want this. I want to see the rules. I want to see that. I want to see that. And then finally they said, okay, we give up. He beat us with paperwork. And that's how we win. But it'd be expensive. I have to charge for that. But sure, Fair's fair, law's law.
So we have a question on YouTube, Carl and Missouri. When I called your clinic the other day, they told me they don't do any diagnosis. Is this true?
Well, not really. Now, in other words, if you want to come in and have a diagnosis of lupus, we're not going to make that diagnosis. But if you come in with multiple skeletal stuff, and you tell me you sprained your back in the service, I'm going to call this back strain. I may call disc disease, that stuff. But hypertension, you should have that done before you come here. I'm not going to diagnose hypertension. I'm not going to diagnose a lot of things. But now, like viral meningitis, you told me you had that. You've got your diagnosis. But I'm not going to be your diagnostician. Although I'm good at it, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to rate your accepted diagnoses.
So this individual expanded on it, TBI with facial trauma.
Oh no, that's easy. No, I love TBIs. In fact, I used to have a walking wounded clinic before they had those for brain injury. I'll just digress. So Jerry comes in, he's shaved, he's got his cowboy shirt all ironed and his belt buckle on, and I'm treating, and his brain damage is so bad that I've got a speech therapist, occupational therapist, psychologist, and we get together once a month with the family, explain how daddy's different and everything else. He also had a back injury, sent him for his back, and he had back surgery, and the surgeon released him. And I called the surgeon up. I said, "Don't release him. I still got him off work for his brain injury." And the neurosurgeon said, "What brain injury?" And of course, I got all indignant and self-righteous. Well, the medical literature shows really, really bad brain injury people don't know they have it. Okay. And so the next time Jerry comes in, I said, "Jerry, how you doing?" "Fine." "How's your wife?" "Fine." "What's your wife's name?" That got a clue. And so, of course, we kept him going. Okay. So, and what's interesting is my daughter worked on her psych degree. We pulled the charts from the last name starts between A and D. We made sure they were plaintiffs in a litigation, either workers' comp or personal injury. So there's a reason to lie to get more money. Made sure they were sent by attorneys, even more reason to lie and get more money. And then did a check of the intake form, the patient information form. They talk about headaches, but no one talked about memory loss and the actual brain damage. That 76% of these patients diagnosed by MRI, CT scan, or neuropsych, not just my diagnosis, really objective findings of significant brain damage, 76% only would mention headaches. And if they'd been treated by somebody else, 86% missed the diagnosis, and the worst were neurologists. I thought, well, it must be my form. We changed form, didn't make a difference. It's the same way in backs. You have a back pain the people have been talking about, radiculopathy, nervousness down the legs, but it also goes to your penis. And you may not get a hard on, but no guy's going to write that down unless you ask him. But I think in brain damage, it's because we watched John Wayne get knocked out and get up and he's normal. There is no such thing as a minor head injury. Like the NFL, they fought that. Gee, we've known about boxers and stuff. Come on. You let some neurologist ruin your reputation, and then just before you go into federal court in Chicago, you settle for $750 million, you fools. Brain damage. There's no, and also doctors, you cannot write down no loss of consciousness. If you've lost consciousness, you don't know you lost consciousness. You may have a bump on the head, and I hypnotize you. We cannot go back and pull that out because it never got recorded on the tape. You may be in a car wreck and walking around, and it looks like you have no loss of consciousness, but you can't say no loss of consciousness. You got to ask. It's like COVID. It's not long COVID. You had meningitis and you've got brain damage. It's common sense that now I have to write notes to myself. I'm a little foggy and all that stuff. Yeah, it's brain.
All right. So
brain can't handle stuff.
We have a final quick question from that individual. Another quick question and a longer question. So he says 6 hours away. Can this be done via telehealth, or would it be better to come in?
It's always better to come in, but it can be done by telehealth. So what you do is you do telehealth. Then if they don't accept it, then you come in.
All right. And
Especially if you've got records that have done physicals on you and stuff, then I can say I relied on the medical records for the physical examination.
Mr. B says, should I bring my CMP exam to the VA CMP exam?
Yes, bring everything to them. They're not going to read it, but they might.
All right. Question here. Dr. Ellis did DBQs and X's for me. Why would they grant lower back without CMP using his DBQs for that and not for neck and MDD? They are great DBQs and Nexus. Could I use CFR 38 paragraph 3.336?
I have no clue.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
You're looking it up right now.
Yeah.
No, but you can appeal that.
Oh.
And now, but why would they do that? Now, you need to understand the people that hire them do not tell them not to do this. But when you're hired by the companies that hire you to do this, you may think they want you to write zeros because it's so prevalent. The large insurance company ran an ad, prime time for a long time. We fight fake claims, car wreck claims, to keep your car insurance premiums down. Buy our car insurance. That ad says if you file against that company, they're going to fight you, and they're bragging about it. But it sells insurance because everybody thinks everybody's faking, and they're not. When I started doing this stuff 100 years ago, 50 some odd years ago, I thought 60% of my patients be honest and truthful, and 40% be kind of flaky. Now it's hard to find a liar. Now I've got all kinds of tricks to do it, so don't come in and lie. I'm going to get you. But you have to draw the history out. People are so afraid of being thought of as a malinger. It's like if you need a narcotic, you're scared to death someone's going to think you're an addict and cut you off. It's terrible for if you need an opioid or a scheduled drug in America. The politics is just terrorizing people, and they give you 30 days and a 31-day month. Oh, come on! But I understand, now, but because it can kill you. The suicide will kill you. And if you get 30 days and a 31-day month, and you go on the street and you get something off the street, it's fentanyl and you're dead. So people, when you write these laws, think about it. This is a terminal illness when you're taking a scheduled drug.
We got another question here, and I'm not sure if it was cut short, so if you're listening, please expand on it. Just received ECAB appeal decision denial letter yesterday. OWCP wrongly terminated my OWCP compensation and denying my eligibility for scheduled award.
Yeah, we already have that. Send us the stuff, or put it up the phone and I'll read it. No, send us the stuff. Let us look at the denial and stuff, and then we'll advise you.
Right. We have one from Larry. Follow up. Do I come to Ellis Clinic for Nexus to tie everything together, or go to a VA attorney if denied for bilateral hearing loss, tinnitus, sleep apnea, hypertension? Already have diagnosis.
You can go to attorney appeal, but it's smarter to get the Nexus report because it's probably. I've forever seen, for instance, a knee. You have arthritis 10%. You have 4 ligaments, and each one, and if a ligament is slightly loose, lax, 10%. Moderately, it's 20. Severe is 30. So you have a couple ligaments loose. That's more. I've seen people. I got 10% from knee. No, you got screwed out at 40%, because they will. The doctors at the VA will not give you everything that's there. They are not looking to give you everything that's there. And yet the law clearly says you're supposed to go beyond and do that. You're supposed to do that.
So we have additional from, I believe this to be Michael. So VA denied my ED secondary to lower back. CMP opined that ED was caused by high blood pressure. Now I'm scared to go to CMP.
We'll go to CMP, but what you need is an Nexus for it. You got lower back that probably, it may be the nerves from your lower back going down your penis. That's ED. That covers that. If you had weight gain, that it contributes to ED. And then if you have hypertension, contributes to weight gain due to your back, that contributes to ED. And of course, aging contributes to it, but that doesn't matter. If it's contributed to the slightest amount, aggravates the slightest amount, it's covered. Like in state workers' comp, and they'll call them in many states, I wouldn't even let you come in because we're not going to win it. I'm not going to let you pay me. I know I'm going to win it. But federal and VA laws are very fair. Congress clearly, in fact, in federal, the case law says Congress clearly realize the individual is taking on the whole federal government, so the individual wins. Claims examiners, senior claims examiners don't know that. Now, when we get it to an oral hearing or ECAB, they know the law and they'll apply it correctly to federal employees. Just don't give up.
Well, let's talk about some of the misconceptions real quick. Let's talk about the misconceptions real quick about specifically that, because the VA and federal workers' comp law is written to be extremely beneficial to the individual making the claim. And the holdup is in the actual administration of that, correct?
Yeah, it's worse than dealing with the insurance company. At least with the insurance company, they could have a $40 million bad faith claim. For example, high school science teacher, pretty lady, I think it was Nebraska, rear ender, and the insurance company rear enders can't cause neck problems. When she has a fusion, but I can't fall. And well, finally she gets some money for her fusion in her neck, and I think it's $30 or $40 million in punitive damages for fighting it without medical evidence.
No, right. Now let's talk about some of the links that the federal
But
government.
anyway, I'm just telling you right now what I've seen in 50 years plus of doing legal medicine, that federal workers' comp and VA are worse than dealing with insurance companies, because the people trained do not know the law and don't follow the law. All I want the government to do is obey their laws. And people have no clue what I've seen. You go to Ellis Clinic and see the map. Every one of those pins has got a horror story of how the U.S. government screwed them. Now, if I get mad, tough luck. If you've not been in Auschwitz, you're not going to understand what I'm talking about. And so most people get mad when I get mad at the government. In fact, I had a guy came in who was military, and he's watching me do an exam, and I'm cussing what somebody claims examiner did, and said, I didn't talk to you about the mouth. What the fuck's wrong with my mouth? You've not seen what I've seen. And if I'm emphatic about it, because it's the truth. If it happened in Russia, those cuss words are deserved. It happens in America, they're more deserved. You're supposed to obey the law. But the trouble is, we're raised on the Bible and superhero comic books. Truth, justice, the American way. And so when we don't do it that way, we're surprised. Don't be surprised that the fire deal comes upon you when you go into federal workers' comp and VA disability. I think when you file a federal workers' comp claim or a VA disability claim, you should file a psych claim to start in 6 months as you go through the administrative law morass that no white coat knows how to do. And that's the problem. We white coats are the biggest problem.
Let's expand on that a little more while we're waiting for any final questions to come in on the back half of the video. Is Charles Gregory is a great example.
Yeah, Charles, yeah.
Expand on him.
Okay, Charles is a mail handler in Amarillo for 100 years, and of course he's had carpal tunnel, cubital tunnel, neck surgery, back surgery, knee surgery, blah 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 blah. Well, they get a video of him now. In federal workers' comp, the Employee Compensation Appeal Board, which is the Supreme Court, by the way, these judges are fair. There's no politics. Oral hearing officers are fair. They know the law. The judges at the Board of Veterans Appeals are fair. They just call it like it is. This is the fairest group of appeals you can go through. Anyway, they get a video, and they said don't do videos because they may be on medicine. It's not their job. So they get a video, and they file criminal charges in jail, $250,000 fine, and 5 years in jail. So I get a call from the union rep, and in federal, the union has to represent you. Well, lawyers don't know this stuff. I mean, they do a little, but we got somebody $15,000 from back pay. No lawyer touched that with 10-foot pole. Well, we did it, and it didn't cost the patient anyway. By the way. Anyway, says, sounds like I need to come to the oral hearing. Doc, I've done this for 23 years. I've never had a doctor come to an oral hearing. Now, let me tell you what pisses me off. A lot of people think I'm great because I'm an advocate for patients. That should be normal white coat. I should not be complimented for going to bat for my patients. I've done 1,587 trials and depositions, including federal criminal court. and I've never lost a case. And when I go to federal criminal court, within 15 minutes, the judge each time has threatened the prosecuting attorney for the Department of Justice Office of the Attorney General with either contempt or jail. Read those transcripts before you mess my babies. Now, okay, so anyway, so how much? 2 days, 20,000, come free. So I get out there, and I've got this, wow, oh, wish we could have done it better. A big retired federal judge, black lady, and now she's a University of Texas law professor. You know, she had an impeccable courtroom. This lady is, wow, that we have a judge like this. Anyway, now, she's seen all her life doctors from insurance companies say nothing's wrong, they're all faking. And then administration attorneys get a doctor saying, oh, they're 100% impaired. Both of them lying. The reason I can't get people to learn legal medicine is the other side's going to call you a whore, because you usually are. Right? And so if you spell God, T-H-E-Y, you worried what people think, don't do this. I don't care what you think. I don't care what my wife thinks. That guy reads reports. That's all I'm worried about. That's who I answer to. So I tell the truth. I don't care what hair, lips, you, or anybody else. Anyway, so she said, now, Dr. Ellis, what are you getting paid? Because she's seen it. And I would not have done this in her federal courtroom. I mean, this lady, oh, wow, this lady's phenomenal. I would not have been flippant. I said, oh, I got a good steak last night. Now, don't you be flippant with me. In federal court, they'd be right. Putting me in jail would be right. But in this case, now I know she's not read the FICA Act or the OWCP Bulletin. She does not have the authority. We don't even have to keep a record. This is an informal hearing. So what do I do? Because if I don't take over, this man's going to jail for 5 years and $250,000, having worked for the federal government all these years. So I slowly got up, slowly walked around the room, got into her face where I couldn't focus, and said, ma'am, I'm a clinical associate professor of legal medicine. I'm probably the world's leading authority on the medical, legal, and criminal aspect of the Federal Employment Compensation Act and the OWCP regulations. Now, I've taken off 2 days. My wife is at home. We're moving this weekend. She's with the moving vans right now. I'm paying all my own expenses. You didn't bought me steaks last night. They're damn sure going to buy me some beers tonight. Ma'am, I'm going to teach you the law, and I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't care what hair, lips, you, and named everybody in and agent out there to arrest him. And now you can imagine she's got fire come out of her voice, and she's just about ready to bust. And she goes, "Oh, tell me what you think." Now I lit into him. You don't have to hear all that. That's just all law. I don't know if the supervisor or the lawyer raised their eyes, because they never raised their heads, because they knew they were way deep. But anyway, they said that when I left, she pointed it to him and said, you settled this for lunch. You don't want my opinion. Did anyway, raked him over the coals. Now, I assume that Amarillo management thinks I'm the Antichrist. Now, when I die, that'll become mythology in North Texas. Now, management, listen to me. I can be your best friend. Did you know that you can send somebody to another agency and never have to pay workers' comp? Did you know that your supervisors deny everything, slow down treatment, and then you've got a year long on a sprained ankle? Did you know if you want to save money at the end of the year, what you're paying the federal government, consult me. I will show you how to do it. Like years ago, I was doing a thing for the Chamber of Commerce and for the Chamber of Commerce, how to handle state workers' comp. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do this, because if they start treating these patients nicely, these employees nicely, I have to go back seeing runny noses, but they're not. Because the bias against the injured litigant, the supervisors are going to say everybody's faking. Like I had a car wreck, and the attorney's personal injury, attorney's secretary called, just give us the report. She's faking, her arms in a sling. I called the attorney up. I said, if she works for you tomorrow, you can never send business to me. This is the worst third-degree separation of an arm I've seen in 3 years. So this lady, without a physical exam, without a medical degree, has made a diagnosis that this person's faking. And if you have her working for you, you're just too stupid to work with, and I'm not going to work with you. Think about it.
All right. So we have a question from Ruth. Do you have a certain time to claim mileage money?
You have a year. Is that right, Paige? 2 years. See, I just work here. Paige is my paralegal. This is the best legal mind I've ever met.
All right. So we have a clarification from Michael C. about the law he was citing, which
Good,
I
good.
think
Teach us.
is CFR 38, which is Code of Federal Regulations, paragraph 3.326b, provided otherwise adequate for rating purposes. Any hospital report or any examination report from any government or private institution may be accepted for a rating, a claim, without further examination.
Sure.
Just clear.
If you could do it, but the trouble is that they're not going to say the things you need in these are the old OWCP regs for rating impairments. Okay, it's not going to say it rightly, and they're going to have to figure it out. So I got a call one time from a rating officer out of St. Louis. Oh, Dr. Ellis, you're so wonderful. You give us a nice chronological history that a lay person can understand. You look up the codes. You give us a percentage, because we don't know. We're not trained in that. And your nexus report is nice, concise, and it makes sense. We wish other people were like you. I said, ma'am, don't say that out loud. You might get fired. But that's St. Louis. There are other states that won't even send the stuff forward. They'll just screw you over. So don't be surprised when a government agency or a government person does something. I saw a lady the other day. Her lower back has been approved, but her thoracic back is not, the upper back. Folks, it's the spine. It's not a cervical thoracic lumbar. It's the spine. But she would like to have the thoracic spine accepted. And the rater said, well, we just can't give money to everybody. That's not a medical diagnosis.
All right, we have a comment from Troy Timmons. I sent my packet last week. Well, I need to come to Oklahoma for appointment.
No, call and say, do I, if it's not in the packet, ask. Say, send us an email. I sent the packet. Do I need to come? And I'd like to do it oral if we could. And then we'll look at it and say, sure. Or maybe, no, you got to come. It'll depend on the situation.
So another comment from Michael here. VA already has excellent DBQ and Nexus. Why should I go to CMP? Sorry to be bold.
Oh, no. You go to see it because they're doing it. They're just doing it. Now, it's dangerous because they're going to try to lower you. But that's okay. Like I had a guy, was at, I don't know, like 50 or 70 PTSD. It was dropped to 9 to 10 without a CMP exam. And I, in my report, I've explained to the veteran who seemed to be upset that I apologize. I'm not as good as the doctor that dropped that from 50 to 10 without seeing him. I have to exactly see him. So I apologize that I'm not as good as that doctor. Obviously, that doctor is a lying son of a bitch. That was my report.
All right, we have a question here from maybe it's not David, it's DAWID, Dawid. Where do I begin with a claim for joints if I've been out for 30 plus years?
Start here. Start here. Start with your nexus first. Just start.
What are the best records that you know of?
None are the best records. You tell me about it, and I believe it's that, and that becomes your medical record. Now, if you have medical records, that's gravy.
Right. So, we're at the almost bottom of the hour here. So, what other things would you like the individuals watching to know about what it is and why it is that you do?
Oh, this is a calling. No, Paul said, stay in the calling which you're called. Everything you do is God calling you through this life. Okay. And I just get to kick ass and be the asshole that I am and the OCD that I am. I found my niche. All right. My wife says, you're getting paid to be an asshole. In fact, one of my patients sent me this number one asshole, which is true. But I just want them to obey the law. And I just love wars. And of course, the law is all on our side. I just need to get someone to wake up, read the law, and apply it.
We have a comment here from Stephanie Abbott. We love Dr. Ellis and all the staff.
Oh, the staff. No, no, I don't have staff. If I was on horrible bosses, I'd win. I mean, geez, okay. And the staff are just phenomenal. And the reason they are, get so much love from the patients. have to put up with me.
Well, we have another comment from W. He definitely seems like he is on the patient side, rare gem, and that's an unfortunate.
Isn't that
reality.
awful? That should not be a rare gem. That should be normal. In fact, when I first started doing legal medicine, and you enjoy depositions, yeah, only like more is going live to court because we've not been trained in that. Like I've always said, if you are suing somebody else, like state workers' comp or VA or car wreck or whatever, then the doctor-patient privacy is over. Let's videotape the examination. That keeps everybody honest. I mean, I thought, well, that won't work because 99.9% of doctors never see these people. Right? But that sure take a lot of insurance company horse and get them in trouble. But now here's another thing. When the insurance company doctor or whether the VA doctor screws you, get over yourself. You cannot sue a doctor for his expert medical opinion. You can show it's not a good medical opinion, but you cannot sue a doctor for his expert medical opinion. Now you can sue a doctor if he does something wrong, makes a medical diagnosis wrong, and you have harm. But if he makes a legal medicine and rates you wrong, you can't sue him. And that goes all the way back to the law in England, because society needs white coats. We need expert medical opinions. But what doctors don't understand is based on my white coat. For instance, in the Air Force, flight surgeons are taking occupational medicine. They come in here, spend a day with me. And I said, this is what I explained. This is reasonable medical certainty. More likely than not in VA. Depends on which system you're in. You have a story of a friend who goes on a mission trip, endemic for hepatitis A. They don't have a hepatitis A shot. And 21 days later, the other friend says, your eyes are yellow. And with that information, what's your thought, doctor? Well, he's got jaundice. He's got hepatitis A. That's reasonable medical certainty. It's not based on a lab test. It's based on your education and experience, not some foreign lab test. Okay? Then you get a CAT scan. He's got a gallstone down here. They can back up the bile into his eyes, turn them yellow. Well, then he's got a gallstone causing the bile to turn his eyes yellow. That's reasonable medical certainty. Then the lab test does come back, and he also simultaneously has hepatitis A. Then it's both of them. At each point in time, that's reasonable medical certainty. It's not a diagnosis. It's your thought, your white coat. Now, the more information I have, the more valuable, more probative value my report. If I back it up with, MRIs and stuff. But I hear a lot of people, lay people, there's nothing objective. Well, if you've got a migraine headache, you're cheating or lying because there's nothing objective. All right? And so in the back, about the only objective you can think is maybe muscle spasm. And here's the scary thing. We're not taught how to feel muscles. We spend hours listening to hearts. I can listen to heart for seconds, and if they've got an S12 murmur, I can write a 2-page report. People are looking for Charlie horses. When you have a tension headache, it's hard for you to find the muscles a little tight. Your spouse can. We're not looking for Charlie horses. We're looking for asymmetry, nuances. And doctors, even orthopedic surgeons, are not trained to do that. DOs do. MDs are trained like Marines. We're assholes. DOs kind of weird. They talk to patients, touch them. They're good people. Okay. Chiropractors can. Right? But let's say there are no objective signs. That doesn't mean that I don't have weakness down my left leg, being 82 years old and the S1 nerve root. Yeah.
Right. We have one last one here from Julius. If a veteran is temporary disability individual unemployed and has 50% PTSD, can he receive Social Security disability?
Yeah, even Social Security, you've always filed for Social Security. Now, Social Security is no sustained gainful employment. Okay. But if you're not working and you have over 40% of disability in the VA system, you could be what's called individual unemployability, which has a lot of benefits. Okay.
We had one person 3 seconds before the question cut off here. If we get TDIU, should we try for 100% schedule?
Sure. If you get it, great. If you don't, that's fine.
All right. Now, the most important question we need to address is how can patients who are watching or watch later get in touch with the clinic and schedule an appointment?
We got a phone number. We also ask. There's also an Ask Doc Ellis. Send a question in. That's how these show up. And a lot of stuff. We don't have receptionists. We have counselors. We'll walk you through it. And Paige, you don't have a picture of her, but she's the best legal mind I've ever met.
Any parting words?
God bless. Love you. Thank you for letting us help you. Wow, what a fun job.